And so there's nothing more precious than that, turning something that's such a dark moment in your life into something that you can share and not just color your own life, but bring color to other people's darkness.
Yeah, for others. That's right.
Hi, Scorpio. All right, welcome to this time and space. Happy now whenever you arrive. So, Scorpio, let's talk about your messages that came through, and then we'll jump into your cards. So, firstly, I felt this kind of, it was like hot and cold, wet and dry, on and off, together, separate. It was kind of like these dichotomy energies. And I feel like this month, whenever you find this, the energy is actually pretty positive. Definitely, I heard way more in the positive. But there could be something that kind of pops up out of nowhere. I saw sort of the Tower and the Five of Cups together, which to me is like everything could be great, and then it's like you're watching a movie and you just bawl your eyes out, or like you see that homeless person and you're like, whatever it is that pulls it out of you. I suppose it doesn't have to be initiated by something externally. That could be one way of kind of pushing the sliver out, if you can feel that something underneath there is a thing. So if you are feeling moody, or most of us are women here, it happens. It's like if you're in a mood, if you're tired, if you're hungry, right? Think of yourself like a baby and treat yourself like a good parent. If you're in that zone and there's some serious discussion to be had, I would sleep on it. I would not have the discussion about anything especially serious. If you're feeling funky, I would just give it a minute, okay? Also, if in relation, because your relationships with other people are getting better, right? Because your relationship with yourself is becoming more known. You've been working on it. Those of you here, you've been working on it for a long time, right? And I'm really proud of you. It takes a lot to shift energy. It especially takes a lot of spiritual fortitude to shift, emotional intelligence to shift scorpionic energy, right? And we talked about last month on the watercolor paintings. See how the energy just shifted there? About gentle change, right? Gentle change. So even though this is Aries season when I'm recording this, and you are also ruled by Mars, you can, right, there could be this energy that's like pretty excited. And if we're taking excited as in happy, because the Five of Cups sort of shifted to Six of Cups in my mind, this could show me where if you've been feeling a little bit down, if you've been feeling a little bit like under the weather, or just there were some things you had to process, say, since this year began, particularly, that now you're feeling a lot better about it. So there's more confidence. But there's a difference between, I feel confident, this is a good time to do this, versus, let's do this without thinking. I want to do this without thinking. Maybe you just want to practice, like, sleeping on it. I mean, sometimes we have to jump at an opportunity. You're right about that. You know, sometimes I heard there's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, or a lifetime opportunity. Maybe that's you being born in this body, your soul in this body is another layer, but it reminds me of this fine line. Do you remember talking about the mountain of light and the valley, the valley of the shadow, and there's this little path? You're still on that, okay? Let's see. Justice and judgment. Why? Using wisdom in your choices, right? Now, back to that. as our relationships with other people are now becoming better and more balanced and feeling more faithful and loving, and I heard not that that was ever missing, but like it's better now, right? Because the relationship with you is better now. Those relationships that you do have at this time, friend, family, even a coworker, boss, whatever the situation, if there's something you need, logically speaking, that you need a little time to sit on it, and especially in your personal world, if you're, say for instance, okay, you know when, I'm very platonic too, let's see if we have this in common. Sometimes I'll have these feelings and they'll like come up out of nowhere. Hold on. Sometimes it's an impulse, sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's anger, whatever. Right? It'll just be like, whoop, here it is. It's better now, but the point is that sometimes when it's like that and there's a lot of it, I prefer to kind of step back and take space to process. When I'm alone, I process a lot of how I feel. And so in relation to those you love, don't forget that you can, because they know who you are anyway. You know, the people who are deeply part of your life, an important part of the fabric, if you will, they know who you are and they love you, and that's why they're around, right? So you can always talk to them and be like, hey, I need a little time to process this, or I just need a little time by myself. That's totally fine. Because if we communicate, then there's no miscommunication on the other side, right? Because we're being honest again and clear with ourselves, then we can be honest and clear with other people, which creates the connection between those 2 points, fair and honest, right? Yeehaw, amen, hallelujah. Okay, so sleep on it, we touched that. Happy, sad. That could fluctuate this month, hot and cold. If this is coming out as indecisive, again, sleep on it. Oh, there was also something about somebody's vehicle. What I saw was, with the tower and that 5 of Cups energies, I actually, because the chariot was below it, I saw where this was like leaking transmission fluid, or like leaky antifreeze, or the oil, something about the oil. It's the liquids within the vessel are a little leaky, or something needs to be replaced to keep it up. I guess we could be looking at this in a health thing, but I also saw it kind of literal. So if and where there has been a problem that's like you've been picking up on it, it's been showing itself a little bit. If a person has been, whatever's been kind of like put aside, I guess, and is something that has to be addressed, then that situation is just going to make itself a lot more obvious right now, right? It's more in the forefront of something. Something's more in the forefront. Now, of course, the positive, the other side of this is also more emphasized, right? It depends where we're at here. What's going on? When is it hard for you to speak the truth? What's hard to find the words about? Now, This is Aries season, so we're looking at cardinal energy, which is about forward movement. It is that which is accepting and understanding that change is a natural process of life. So if there is something, again, that has been, for instance, like uncomfortable or not feeling like you want, this is a great time to make that change. In that case, a person would probably have to be really raw dog honest about, like, with themselves about something. You know, be like, man, I know I gotta do that. Or like, I know this has to be done. And it's something that an individual has to do. Now, I suppose as we go further on the path, again, this hot, cold energy, happy, sad energy, this is also showing, I guess we're talking to a few different people. We're all on different points in the path, right? But as we, again, move forward, then we come to a zone where we're like, once a person acknowledges, like, yeah, this this is on the merry-go-round. This is not right. Worry is a rocking chair. It doesn't get you from here to there, right? And neither does anger. Neither does fear. Neither does judgment, right? Outward judgment, pointing judgment. Okay, when justice shows up, judgment and justice are quite similar. If justice shows up as our karma, then at this time, depending on how the feelings are around a situation, are going to be the work that has been done prior up to this point, right? We don't have to cry over spilled milk. And it doesn't really matter who spilled it or why it got knocked off the counter. It's about just cleaning it up. And so, but this is not necessarily like super fast energy. I feel like that's something that's being emphasized here, that the changes that are happening are, if anything bubbles to the surface that doesn't feel like it wants to be there, it's because it's been repressed or it's been building in the background like for a while. But it may have been something even that a person wasn't consciously necessarily trying to ignore completely. It just may be that there's a time for everything, right? The example that I saw before, I recorded your reading before, but for some reason it keeps glitching out and we had to re-record it. The example I saw before is like, say you have an old vehicle, right? And you have it for, the older something is, the more effort it needs and potentially the more problems it has because of the time that it's existed. But if you keep up with things, then things can last a really long time. But it's like a healthy, constant upkeep is different than I have to constantly be fidgeting with this, or this is always giving me a problem. This is always frustrating. I cannot rely on this. Is completely different, again, than I'm putting in a little extra because this is going to be probable for the long term. I hope this is making sense. Because maybe you can relate to Ace of Swords. Maybe you can relate to this. Well, what did we just say right there? Maybe you, outside of you, can relate. So a person's experienced being misunderstood. Star card, Strength card, so Leo, Aquarius energy. Just because something can be done doesn't mean that it has to be. Something can be possible. But I heard that, but that takes your energy. Okay, Strength says, I'm being a little I'm stubborn. Right? Let's take it what this image says. This image says, what I see is, oh, it so depends on the way you want to look at it. Where do you have ice cold judgments? Like where it's so concrete, you're like, that's that, and there's no moving the spoon. Wow, the Strength, the Star, and the Justice. So we have air, water, fire. I feel like the air, the mental realm, solid. Let's change that word. It's well put together. The air realm. I feel like it's pretty balanced in there. Some of you could also be thinking about your relationships with other people. It could be very significant. This is also conscientious behavior around a person's power and how that creates their universe, right? Folds in, like, you fold into God's plan. Okay, interesting. Then we have water, which actually I'm seeing as like very spiritual water. It's like a person has used their clarity of mind to change the story about maybe what love is, like, because that's this life, right? We either hate this life or we love this life. Then we move in again to this water energy. So again, a person has used this mental faculty and clarity to heal themselves emotionally, which also eased the spirit. It eased the spirit. But there's still something in ways of spirit that a person struggles with. It could just be now. I don't know if this is like trying to prove something to somebody, or if it is just a stubbornness. I suppose right now Spirit may also, part of the lesson in this time is Spirit is asking you, it wants you to feel strong. Spirit wants you to feel powerful. You are powerful. You've always known that, right? But it was just like how to use that kind of power, how to use your mental power, how to use the power of your emotions, right? Again, when they like, woof, here it is. It's just like, wow, that's, you just created that big. You just created that fast, right? Pretty magical if you think about it. But to be able to figure out how to control that, you know, it's like knowing the stars, right? Knowing the stars, but not having that rule over you. You know, you don't have to be a slave to your map or a slave to your mind or a slave to anything. Judgment. So let's see now what's going on in the material world. Let's actually use a different deck, if you don't mind. Oh, the King of Pentacles came twice. Let's look at each one of these. Let's look at Justice. So we're going to look at the mental world in combination to the physical world, the material world. Oh, we have the King of Hearts. So this could be someone very near and dear to you. Who is the nearest and dearest male to you? And I feel like they're older than you, or they at least have like gray hair. They don't stress you out. You know what I mean? They, you admire what they've been through. They're also not an angry person either. They're pretty gentle. I heard that ancestor is also around you. Okay, those go there. King of Cups is a very romantic person. But someone may be holding back a little bit in... how do I explain this? Well, it's sort of like once bitten, twice shy. A little bit. Oh, somebody's a little bit more ahead of somebody else. But they're not in different places. Something's ahead of something else, but they're close. Someone could be tired of traveling also. If you've been, if whoever someone's been traveling, that's, I keep seeing someone with like weary feet, you know, or like a tired, someone's, well, I guess because what a person knows, they are a little bit more cautious or conscientious. I think conscientious would be a better representation than cautious. Cautious represents there's some kind of, shows me that there's some kind of like fear in something, right? Like, I mean, look at our shoulders. It's like, I'm not gonna get involved with that because I heard it's complicated. But these are looking at it from like when we look at it from too broad of a brush, like, say we were using love as an example. Like, oh, love's complicated. I'm not gonna do that. It's like, love isn't complicated, it's simple. And so let's discuss it. If we're talking about dating or something, like, how do I explain this? What's going on? I feel like I was just trying to relate to too many other people. Like, try to, like, hone in on, like, these... hone in on these... Too many... I've spread myself too thin. That's the point. I was spreading myself too thin. You can only do so much in a day. Maybe that's something else to be aware of. And if for some reason all your mental faculty is going around your money, your job, like just focusing on school, things like that, your other relationships are lacking and they want your attention. And in ways of studying and in moseying and things like this, it's like, I feel like the earthly realm wants to be, this King of Hearts is showing me someone who's comfortable. It's like they could they could put their guard down. You know what I mean? They can just, I heard fucking relax. That's what's needed. And so who is it, again, the people. Don't feel guilty for relaxing. If you're one of those, like, hard worker, buzz around, always trying to learn, always trying to, you know what I mean? Like, you are allowed to relax. You want to take care of yourself because this is actually Aries season. April is always an adjustment point to you, especially in ways of your energy. And it is always a test of the conscientiousness around your actions and choices. Because it's Mars energy. And I know you know what I'm talking about because my whole legs, all my calves are tingling. Let's see what the star is talking about. Oh, someone's singing songs. So the water world into the material world. Well, you have the Six of Wands and the mystery card, I guess. So when you'll see, there's little yellow flowers that bloom. Kind of seeing like a daffodil or like an iris, like those kind of flowers that come up in spring. There's something about those, or just like yellow flowers in general. Someone's aligning their chi better. This yellow chakra, King of Cups justice is also romantic, logical energy, right? Romantic, practical, emotion, practical. So we have water, air. So double air, water, earth. Then we have water, fire. Water and fire are interesting elements, right? Because it depends, they're opposite, technically. Water puts out fire. And you, Scorpio, are water, but your ruler is Mars, fire. You and Pisces both deal with this in a sort of subconscious level, sub-layer, if you will. But when you mix water and air, water and fire right, I'm seeing someone create steam. What does steam do? Steam opens up things, right? It'll peel back the layers. It opens up the pores and lets all the dirt out. It helps you to breathe deep, deep, deep into yourself. So I could actually see where water and fire and in you is pretty happy. And if we take this King of Cups as you, as your energy with the Justice card, that shows me a very conscientious person. You know what I mean? Like very responsible, very mature. I heard they don't get mad at the shit that they used to get mad about. You know what I mean? They can like compartmentalize, or at least explain. It's like it's a different story. Awesome. It's a totally different story, which gives a new opportunity. Actually, Six of Wands in the Star could be a work opportunity. It could also be a romantic, like a very intriguing, like new person in your life. But there's things about that isn't known, that aren't known yet. So I would also go slowly. We talked about this, right? Because the more energy you put in, it's not going to create more of something. You just want to... It's like slow and steady wins the race. Because if you're going too fast, think about it in a car, wicked fast, you can't really see what's going on the edges, right? If you're going slow, you can look around. You know what I mean? You can see things differently, right? Gentle change. Taking care of your health is also important. Or health is important to somebody. Let's see what strength's all about. Well, let's see the fire energy into the material world. There's 4. That one's still a little bit of a struggle. It's where your sun sits in your map. Hold on. Oh, it's about trusting other people. Just a minute, Scorpio. Do you remember when we talked about the bridge? The one that goes all the way back to when you were like the bravest, happiest little girl, little boy, whatever, like however you want. You go back I'm seeing a little one, but it could also just be like where you felt really confident in your 20s, you know, or when you just a time when you didn't have the once bitten twice shy. And Or like where the pain makes the decision. Do you know what I mean? We're trying to, that there's still a little struggle in there. And again, it has to do with your sun sign, like where your sun sits. So this has to do with where you live, too. But if sun is also the soul, that's where the soul lives in the body. So there's still there's so many blockages that have been cleared. Good job. But you know it's like an ongoing process. But it doesn't have to be constant, right? Like, again, that constant upkeep of the car, you know, like the constant, like, if I leave this alone for 5 seconds, it's going to explode. It's like, no. But again, we're trying to trust what we have built. We're trying to trust our family. We're trying to trust other people, right? Trust or believe. I wonder if trust and believe, I feel like they're pretty close in each other, right? So, and to speak lovingly, honestly, lovingly. You overcame a fear, like something happened 2 years ago. Try not to handle too much at once this month, okay? Because 6 of Wands is, I just got to town. I'm going to get off this horsey. I'm going to kick my shoes off. I'm good right here for now. Right? King of Hearts is, I am comfortable. I'm at home. I'm kicking my shoes off. And I'm going to chill for a minute. Right? I hope I can explain this right, but it's as if, say you were a house. It's like one room in the house is like the air house. It's the mental house. That's a room in the house. That room is pretty clear. It's clear. But when you go in that room and use that energy, the energy, even when you leave that room, that energy is still bouncing around. And if you stay in that room too long, you burn out the fire energy. It's like the wind gets too much and it will put out the fire, the energy of fire. Now the water room in the house, it has a skylight. There's a skylight in that room. Or like the window, out the window as you can see the stars. I feel like that room in you is very, I heard it's beautifully blessed. The water is blessed. You have to go in though and replenish the water in there. It's like, if you think about it, like I'm seeing where there's kind of like a fountain that comes down and then that travels through all these other tubes. But this also has a knob on it. And so you actually have to go into that room and turn it on and see it flow and interact with it. It's kind of like the essence of watering the plants. Maybe watering your plants in your house will give an indication, right? But I feel like you do you connect more to desert plants like succulents than you do other plants? What plants do you, like house plants, do you connect to? Because it's cool to have those plants that you don't have to go in that much, right? Like a cactus or whatever, it doesn't need water all the time. And I suppose you don't either as an individual, but you want, I feel like there's a person here that wants to give a lot emotionally. They're ready to open up like that. And if you're wondering about love, because say you're looking for your person, you haven't found your person yet or something like that, once this little spiritual test block is attended to, you just have to choose this Jupiter or Saturn. Maybe it's choosing to surrender a little bit. It's learning when to surrender and when to be like, yes, I'm strong and I can do that. Because that's a fine line too, right? But you'll find that person. And if you're with somebody right now, if you're involved, it could be, you'd be technically married or otherwise, but this is the other relationships I see, they're already pre-existing, are actually really beautiful. And if you're burnt out on one of your relationships, so you don't feel like there's a lot of, if anything has become a little dry, because it's more in this earth air realm, like it's become like where there's a lack of passion or emotionality or whatever around it, romantic energy even around it, then someone needs to again back up from work all the time, or like back up from money, kinds of material world kind of things, and pull, again, I guess we already talked about this, but pull back into your intimate partnerships, because that's going to help. That also helps balance. Oh, look at this inner child. The conversation between the spiritual realm and this material world. Because that's the reason you're here, too. Right? Is the reason we're here is to interact with other human beings. And I know, sometimes that's confusing, and sometimes we don't. But it's not as confusing as it was before, right? We don't have to have these huge walls like we did before. Or just like hide how we feel, and when someone's like, how are you? Be like, fine. Or like blow up at somebody or whatever the situation. You know, like I heard it's no longer the time for that. And I guess part of the test right now, to pass the test, is acknowledging that it's a person acknowledging that they are worthy. You know what I mean? That they, because again, it's a fine line to be like, I'm good at that, without being cocky. You know? Be really kind, like be really humble. Huh. Oh, if you're also looking for a new vehicle, some of you could be looking for a new job. Whatever the thing is, it goes back to the 6th. I'm seeing this. I guess that's also an option. You have options there. Oh, this is super independent energy too. Which I heard, that's good for you. But again, we need each other. So if you're wanting to know more about asking for help, or the combination of all these rooms or these worlds together, then maybe Aries reading could be helpful. Okay. Love you, Scorpio. Whoa, holy 46 minutes. That flew by. That was like back in the day where like time just disappears. Thanks for that. It's taken a couple years to get back in the zone. Still floats out now and again, but I'm happy that it's coming back. It took some serious patience and some determination. You know, not give up as we go along. And I love it. One last thing, the Justice, the Star, and the Strength card. So Spirit is granting you a new opportunity. So don't be stubborn about something and be like, nah, I'm just going to stick with... Oh, you had this example in your other reading. It was like raining out, and someone was like, hey, do you want an umbrella? And this was like, no. Like, I don't need an umbrella. And they just get soaking wet. And then they get a cold. And it's just like, and. We don't have to do all that, right? We don't have to... Nothing needs to be of an extreme. And so again, this month, just practice temperance, right? High Priestess. Practice temperance. Practice balancing yourself. You realize that this is too much on this side. Just back 10 of Pentacles. A little too heavy on that side. Back it up. Some of you are very work-oriented, and that's why... Well, we already went over it. Moon. All right. I wish you well in this time, and I thank you for being here. I hope this was of service, Scorpio. And thank you for being a part of this place and showing up. Thanks for working on your shadow and forgiving others and, you know, kicking yourself in the ass and to do more like constructive, creative things, you know, versus the desolate, like, well, I heard desolate, demonic things. You know, we have these... I never really put it together, but Scorpio's can be very Gemini-like. You know, it can be these... I guess that's Libra, Sag on either side of you. These extremes of swinging, right? But if we don't react, we don't flail, then eventually the swing, right, here's a Libra lesson. Eventually the swing can just be like this, and then you can start pumping it to the place that feels pleasant to you. You know what I mean? And sure, sometimes you want to give yourself a good one. Maybe there's somebody else that gives you a little underdog. Those are fun. But then instead of like continuing to push that, just let it come back to the middle and then make it a little bigger. Make you create it and make it bigger versus it happening out of your control. Do you know what I mean? All right. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There was a bunch of new people that went over to Patreon recently. Thanks for being rad and over there if you are too. It's a pleasure. We're getting more into the whiteboard sessions again, which I love. I'm finally getting my flow back a little bit and settling into this new place. So thank you for being patient with me too. All right. I'll talk to you later. Peace out.